hakucharaka, hakukaracha, kukaracha, okay, anyway, so hey guys, it is iGloriaaa back with another video. Y'all like this consistency? I like it too, because you know I've allowed things to no longer bother me, but that's not what this video is about. So in today's video I wanted to talk about a topic that I have seen a lot of people kind of gently glide on social media, especially during this quarantine time, being an African creative from home. I think that this is an appropriate topic to talk about, given that a lot of us are going to be going back to school and a lot of us will be going to school from home, which ultimately means we will be with our parents. What is the issue? So for those who may not know what the circling problem is that a lot of us who are creatives that, you know, live with our parents tend to feel as though, you know, having African parents and you're into creative, like content creating, it can cause a lot of rift in your relationship. I decided to ask my Instagram, I was like, question for my fellow creatives. I'm gonna leave it right here on the screen for you to see. I said, living with African parents, creating during Corona, unsolicited opinions on your craft, does your community support your craft, etc. Talk to me about it. Then the question was, what are some challenges you face creating from home? I screen recorded some of the responses that I got. I got quite a few responses. Some people expressed how there's no quiet, there's no peace and quiet, which I totally understand. Asking if your craft is a distraction, that was a big one that I noticed. Constant surveillance and critique. Thinking that I'm just playing when I'm sitting for hours trying to edit. Like they said, chatting, no proper backgrounds to sit down for videos, which I totally understand. As you and I are speaking now, I am currently recording in my bathroom, but it looks nice, so what? So I wanted to go ahead and share my thoughts on just being an African creative from home and how it's been for me during the summertime. Luckily for me this summer, as you guys can see, I was able to drop a lot more content, and that's just because, like, I feel as though I have been doing this for some time now, and my parents at this point know that this is what it is and this is what they're gonna get. It's kind of like I kid you not, I've been on YouTube since my freshman year, I guess, of high school. Well, officially I started YouTube up again in 2016, but have been doing this video recording, whatever the case may be, and I've been like always taking a love for this stuff since like my freshman year of high school. But I did a lot of creative type of things within the house growing up as well. Now I guess growing up, or not even just like growing up, even in 2016, I know there was a lot of like arguments that I did have with my parents surrounding what I'm doing on YouTube. I think a lot of it does stem from culture. I guess for me, being that I am the oldest of 4 girls, so there's this expectation of being a woman that doesn't share too much. Okay, like being a woman, being a lady, you don't talk too much. And ultimately what I do on my channel, I'm not your typical YouTuber. You will see me doing makeup, but like for 5 seconds. Like, I've come to realize that I'm not a makeup artist. 2, I feel like y'all don't really care to watch me do my makeup or my hair. And 3, like, that's just not me. That's just not my content. Yeah, but anyways, so this idea of, you know, being an African girl that is talking online, it's like, what are you doing? Like, you're talking too much. Actually, growing up, that was actually one of my biggest issues. I would always be told, you're talking too much. And I remember one of my dearest uncles, shout out to Uncle Nabdi, told me one day that when Gloria isn't talking, that means there's a problem. That means Gloria's not happy. So Gloria needs to be talking. He was like, he pretty much is part of the reason as to why I talk now. If I have something to say, I will talk. If I don't have anything to say, I will not talk. There was just this stigma around a woman not talking too much and not being too expressive. So now imagine putting yourself out there for the world to see. So that's like my personal background story, and I can try to gauge as to why, because I feel like a lot of times we talk about these conversations and we do not talk about the why. We do not talk about why our African parents get so irritated. Sometimes I feel as though social media does not facilitate those kind of conversations where we ask ourselves, like, why do they get irritated? For some of us, we think they get irritated with no reason. Like, what's the point? Like, why are you so angry? Like, why are you so mad? That kind of stuff. But if I will be honest with you, there is a why. It's a deeply rooted why. For my opinion, I believe that the why is because of culture, one, and the why is because of the difference in focus. So considering I turned 23 this year, so I'm guessing a lot of our parents are ranged between the ages of like early 50s to like 60s type stuff, right? Or late 50s to like 60s type stuff. So if you really consider, that means a lot of our parents were born in the 60s, okay? So what was going on around the time? Nigeria received their independence in 1960. Okay, so the Biafran War was from 1967 to 1970. So around this time period, this is only speaking for like the Nigerian side of things, but I'm speaking holistically. Around this time, there was a lot of survival. That was the aesthetic of our parents' like teen or like livelihood growing up. So really, and even to move from back home to here, their mindset is survive. Their mindset is anything else that does not gear towards survival, why are you doing it? So I get it. I understand, especially with this, we have a huge, our generation, like a lot of us are really truly invested in creativity. So it's like one of those things where it's like, we have to consider the culture that we're in, okay? We're just an unorthodox bunch of people. We're talking about parents. We're not doing things the way that our parents have set out and worked hard for us to do. It's like you're wasting time. Hey, since you're still here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks. I believe though that there is a middle ground between me and my parents. There's a middle ground between my content and the visions of my parents. I believe that we're not doing separate things. I believe that our parents can and will be able to understand if we're patient enough to facilitate the space, the safe space, emphasis on the word safe space, to be able to hear what you do and your priorities and what they want and what they have done and their priorities. But it takes having a conversation. If you really think about it, around these time periods of when our parents were growing up, and mind you, a lot of them were born around this time. It's not like they were teens around this time. So because they were born around this time, this was a heavy movement of high life music. High life music is a form of art, is a form of creativity. So your content creators back in the day, your Chief Osita, Osadebe, your fellas, and all these people were what they were bumping to at the time. So at the end of the day, there was art. At the end of the day, these people were what kind of gave them hope. This art is what gave them hope. The books that they read is what gave them hope. So it's one of those things where it's like, if you really deep it, there is a middle ground. So I've noticed like some ways that I've been able to facilitate these spaces with my parents is through Netflix movies, which is so weird, but it helped. So like family nights or family days when we'll be watching certain movies, I totally recommend the movie October 1st. It's weird, I'm over here giving y'all gems as to how to set the space to be able to talk about your content. But October 1st, you guys should watch it. I'm gonna do a whole separate movie review on this movie because it was that great. But this movie, the plot is more so centered around the independence of Nigeria, like, and it was focused on a specific village, and it's a historical movie. I don't want to get into that just. It's a historical movie. So therefore, I was able to sit my parents down, my mom, my dad down, and we were able to like kind of talk about this historical movie. This is a movie. It's a form of art. From there, we were able to, I was like, you know what? I think I want to do a movie review on this. And you know, from there, it leads and opens up room into other conversations. Now, granted, in a fantasy world, well, my world is not a fantasy world. This is how it works in my world. I can only speak for myself, but I just feel as though sometimes as creatives, it's very important to make sure we can read the room when it comes to our parents and addressing with them the matter. But I also will want to add that you shouldn't stop what you're doing because I know some of us have actually tried and it's like they're not trying to budge, they're not trying to listen. I want to encourage you to not stop what you're doing. Not stop what you're doing. Do what you can with the time that you have. If they're not home, you go ahead and get that video out the way type stuff. But it's like, don't ever get tired of trying to explain your art. You will be so surprised how somebody, an auntie, an uncle may bring light to your content and your parents see it and they're like, well, you know, because unfortunately, I feel like, and I mean, parents may get mad when I say this, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, I feel as though a lot of African parents move off of what people say. And even as much as they say, you shouldn't care about what people say, do you? I get it, but I feel as though they definitely do move off of what people say. So that's, I mean, duh. I mean, obviously that's why you have aunties. If an auntie complains to your mom, your daughter shouldn't be doing this, and your mom will come with vim arguing, you know. So a lot of parents are not to mind their business. That's the truth. So you just need to understand, unfortunately, our parents were not given a handbook on how to deal with a kid, let alone a creative kid. But you have to have hope. I think every creative is faced with some type of battle. Ours may not be the outright wars and, you know, independence battles, right? Like the creators of the past. Ours may just be fighting for our own voice to be heard within our community. And with that fight, you can allow your content to be able to educate and allow your content to be able to feed the world. Now, granted, not everybody is called to that. So does that now mean because your content isn't feeding the older generation, you should stop? No. What I'm trying to say though is that you should continue to have faith in what it is that you do, and don't allow the discouragement of your parents to stop you. Now, I'm not saying be disobedient, but I am saying read the room. You know when to do certain things, you know, gauge it. If your parent is going off to work, then you know that's when you probably record the video. Or if you can leave your house, you can go to your friend's place and do whatever, like a trusted friend. And I think building that trust with your parents, and I feel like that's all that one could really do, especially during this time, because I know creating content is really a lot of people's outlet. So it's like, rather than bumping heads, work with what you have. Now, there is a narrative that I feel like tends to often go missed and unnoticed, but the narrative of, I have tried all that I can, what can I do? This may not be your time. You know, growing up, I remember, and this is very, because being an African kid regardless comes with a lot of things, right? Growing up, I remember I did not have the flashy stuff, and Forever 21 to me was like on the same level as Chanel and like all these other brands and like Gucci. So imagine you see all these babes wearing like Forever 21 bags and this and that. I wanted to be like them so bad growing up, but that was not the time. Okay, but now for me, if I want to, I can go ahead and buy but listen, I will be collecting Forever. Now I have so many Forever 21 bags, Steph. Now, like literally, if I want Gucci, I would just set my mind, this is what I would get. You know what I mean? Like now it's like, and no one's gonna stop me, because now I've grown to see the value in these things, and now a lot of these things don't really matter. That's another thing. I know there's noise, but this is my life. Like it is what it is. But there will be a time when you will now live by yourself. There will be a time when you will be back on campus. There will be a time when you can pick up your camera, and I believe everything will now flow. But everything will align, I promise you. Sometimes though, you may need to just take that risk. And I listened to a podcast yesterday by Jessica, In These Moments. It's where like many creatives come and share their stories. And Jessica featured in the one that's called I'm Doing This By Myself. And she was telling her story on how she became a creative and things like that. There is a moment in time though when you need to say, I'm doing this by myself. But make sure that your spirit, your mind, your everything aligns. Make sure it's your calling to do that, because sometimes you may have to get up and record, or get up and take a picture, or get up and paint, or get up and go. But make sure it's that time to challenge that, because even in the Bible, a man will leave his house. A man will leave his house and go. Like literally, but a man. I'm only just speaking the idea of a man, but more so you've matured. Make sure that you can be trusted. I understand everything. Like I've had moments where I will argue every time, but I will drop a video, but I will argue every time I finish recording a video. But many years later, that's when aunties are telling my mom, oh my God, like your daughter, you're this. And I'm like, wow, I would not have ever known. I would have never noticed these people were watching my videos, and now my mom supports my content. you know. So it's like, but granted, you may not get the support of all, but honestly, bruh, you don't do things because of support. If this is what you are called to do, do it. You do your purpose because that's what you're supposed to do. I hope I was able to, like, you know, address some of the things that I've noticed like circling on social media. Our African parents are not toxic. I'm tired of people putting toxicity on everything. Even if they're toxic, Seth, I beg, you're toxic too. But I just believe our African parents definitely do help us have confidence in whatever it is that we decide to go into, because the world will try you. If not your parents, the world will. So which one would you rather? Yeah, that's about that as far as that is concerned.
Anyway, that's about that as far as that is concerned.
Shout out to, I was gonna also mention, shout out to networks like Indani TV and all these other networks, people like Dimma, Umeh, who started this conversation and inspired me to do this video, and other people who I feel as though are facilitating these grounds for us to, literally they're the middle grounds, because our parents are watching their shows, they're watching their content, but literally they know they're funding content creators, but they don't know that. They just need to be educated. And I feel like there is a lot more parents out there who are willing to be educated than we think. I would love to continue this conversation with you guys and know that I'm here to support you and every one of us that are African creatives, even though some people are really interesting, but the ones that are pure enough are here to support you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you in another video. Bye guys. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Now I can say bye. Bye guys.
AK Marv produced it.